Or not. It says we're live. I think we're live. Hello. Hello,
Hello.
everybody. Hi.
Hello.
My name is Charlie. This is Sasha. There's a little bit of thunder outside right now, and she is very unhappy. So she's going to be joining us for at least the beginning of this until she decides to go get in her hidey hole. And I am a dark fantasy author who does all kinds of creepy, witchy stuff. And with me for the first time is Megan, who is a
Hello.
contemporary fiction writer, which I wish I could do, but I don't have that skill. Introduce yourself to the fine people, if you would.
Hi, my name is Megan. I'm a contemporary fiction writer. Other than that, I don't know how else to introduce myself.
Well,
Hello.
if you have any hobbies you wanted to mention or anything.
Writing is my hobby and the thing I do all day. And writing is life.
You can find a link to her channel down in the description below. Hello, Sarah. How are you doing? I see Sarah is here. Hi, y'all. Yeah, it's going to be a southern stream today. We got thunder and lightning. Thor is outside. It's my turn to be visited by Chris, and I'm so excited. The dog, not so much so. But it's going to be a bit of a southern. So if I get a little country fried today, everybody, I am sorry about that. And hello, Stephanie. All right, so she'll be back in a minute. Grayson may or may not be able to join us today. He's doing all right. He just needed to take a little bit of time, and I told him not to stress out, that I would soldier on alone if I had to in this cold, cruel streaming world. But luckily I did not have to do that, because I mentioned on Jules the Dawdling Writers stream this morning that I was looking for another co-host, and Megan, this lovely person right here, was like, I'll do that.
I was like, yes, I'll do it.
And she had no idea what craziness she was in store for. Alrighty,
No.
so things are happening. Okay. I've tortured my child with her history and vocabulary lessons. Yes. I'm from the Ozarks, so we, depending on who you talk to, whether or not we consider ourselves Southern or not, because there's a lot of Ozark pride in and of itself. But my husband is a Yankee, and we've had to do some vocabulary lessons, especially when we first moved around here, because
I bet
we use words very differently. Hey, Ollie Cat, how are you doing? Hope you're still getting all the words. I hope you are. Sorry, I'm going to be hugging on the pooch. She's not happy. More thunder. Let's see who else is here. Petra's here. Hello, Petra.
Hello.
Tessa's here. Hello, Tessa. You have been
everywhere.
You've been tearing it up today. I'm just saying, looking at your word counts coming in, I try not to get jealous of other writers and how fast they write, because I know my brain and fingers only work at the speed that they work, but whew, you have just been
on fire.
Yes. Are you still writing, or are you switching over to editing? Are we supposed to stop you from editing? Because I know you mentioned earlier that you were afraid that you were going to head back over to editing. Alrighty. So we're about to get started. I like to start with a shorter sprint for the first one, just kind of blow out the cobwebs, make sure all our projects are open, and then we're ready to go. So I'm thinking 10, 15 minutes, probably closer to 15. So let me know in there. You are very welcome. Hello, Mr. P. Hello. I'm glad that you could make it, and you haven't missed a single thing yet, because I've been on dog comforting duty. So, like I said, if you prefer to be a little bit on the shorter side, I might oblige. Yes, but as far as the doggy's concerned, I think she would prefer we start with like a 30 or a 45, so I can cuddle her through the storm. But we're not starting with that. And Sid, I don't think Sid's here yet, so we don't have to worry about being asked to do that just yet. Because that's the problem. Sid and I, we like our longer sprints. Yep. We he was born in Massachusetts, raised in Maryland, and yeah. Yeah, I lived in Texas for a brief period of time when I was a kid. I've lived all over. I lived all over. That is the hardest thing. Maybe that'll be our first question when we come back after the sprint. How do you keep yourself from editing while drafting?
That's a good
Because
question.
that's a very good question because I have some tips that I use, and they're silly and stupid and crazy as you might imagine, because it's me. But definitely that could be fun. All right, so I don't see anybody saying anything different. So let's do a 15-minute sprint to get this started and try to get my doggy calmed down. So I don't know how much writing I'm going to get done on this first one, but I've got so many whoops. There we go. 15 minutes. Did I share that already? I did. Yay. Alrighty. Before we get started, can I have both my hands for just a minute? Can I have? Okay. Let us get started the way we always do on my streams by asking our sweet and delightful muses to come and give us wisdom, to give us words, and to give us all the power that we need to get through all the problems in our stories, because whether they be big or small, sometimes we need the help of the angels to get through it. Am I right?
I definitely need them.
So let us begin our sprint in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Write all the words. beep 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 beep. I hope that didn't scare anybody. Every time I hear that timer, I just think of a Time Lord's heart ticking because I'm that kind of a person. I am that kind of a person. So, how did everybody do? Oh, we got some more people here. Hey, so Shelby's here. Hello, Shelby. How you doing? Let us know what you're working on today and how you did in the sprint. Nice. Hello, Laura. I'm assuming you're watching us while you're at work from the conversation we had earlier, and I like the watch time. Thank you. That helps out a lot. And while you may not be getting any words done, I'm sure you're doing good work on that secret project that we all want to know about. At least I do. I want to know really bad. Alrighty. So I spent most of my sprint, so I'm giving myself 700 points for calming the dog down because
Nice.
that
takes a lot.
that takes a lot. So I only had I only got to write really in the last 5 minutes, and I got 110 words in the last 5 minutes because I'm on fire today, apparently. How did you do, Megan?
I was just browsing through Wikipedia looking for interesting stuff. So
I get lost doing that. Okay, so a lot of the work that I'm doing in this setting takes mythology and presumes that it's real. So I get in long rabbit holes of, oh wait, so that legend is connected to that legend, and ooh, there's this Slavic version of it that I've never heard before.
That's always fun. I love doing research and discovering interesting tidbits.
I never would have read the Yellow Book of Fairies, the Red Book of Fairies, or the Blue Book of Fairies if I hadn't been doing this project. But if you can stand reading old books, they definitely are worth the time. So let's see what people are up to. Shelby is reading today, might start writing a short story soon. Tell me your secrets. I used to be a short story writer. Then I started writing novels. And I'm having a really hard time pulling myself back. I can do a novella. I've even pulled off a novelette. That's about a 17,000 word story.
You're getting there.
I'm working on it. There's a version of a short story up on my site right now that's in like rough beta, but I just put it public anyway because why not? Called about a Barghast and the terrible things that happened there. But it was so hard to write because short stories and I are not friends anymore. You're working from home? So you have me on in the background. Thank you, Laura. 301. Tessa, that's amazing. Because I know myself.
Why?
I know, because see, I know how fast I work in increments because I'm one of those people that spreadsheets the crap out of all that. And yes, I can do about 250 in a 15-minute sprint if I'm very good. But everybody who gets over 300, like Petra, in 366, oh my goodness. And you're having a bit of trouble with pacing in an action scene. Okay, there's a book that I really like. I read a lot of action scenes. It's called Fire in Fiction. And one of the things that he recommends in that book is when you're doing an action scene or a scene that's very emotionally intense for the character, to do something that he calls the tornado effect. Pick 3 random things that if you weren't intimately involved in the situation, you wouldn't notice, and build your scene around that. You will find some interesting details, and it will help your pacing out because it'll make you have to think outside the box beyond just this punch, that punch, jump, kick, move, swipe, all that, which, trust me, I write way too much of. I find that helps with my pacing when I try to think of what are 3 things that would be happening during this action sequence that would just be so bizarre if not for this action sequence. So maybe that helps.
Good advice.
But that's
I
why
had
I like
to write down the book title. Do you know who it's by?
I will look it up. It's on my Kindle. I can't think right now. I want to say it's a Donald Moss book because I read a lot of his books when I was coming up, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll look it up on my Kindle in a minute.
Okay.
Yes. So we've got people answering the question already. Okay, so our question for this break is, how do you keep yourself from editing while you write? Stephanie says that she turns off her Wi-Fi and grammar checking on your computer. Yeah. I'll get to mine in a minute. I do 2 things. One is bizarre and one is what it is. So you use Grammarly. Okay, so I'll bring this up now. I use Pro Writing Aid to check my grammar and everything. And the reason I use it is because it works with Scrivener really well. Like you can actually load your Scrivener file in it and go through. So since it works like that, when I'm working in Scrivener, none of those tips and stuff show up. And when I'm done, I actually have to close Scrivener, open Pro Writing Aid, and then all of the errors get highlighted all over the place for what I need to fix. So I like Pro Writing Aid for a lot of reasons, but the fact that it's separate and keeps me from spending all my time trying to rewrite while I'm writing. You too? Yeah.
Wow.
It's currently raining outside. I think, yeah, my dog is under my laptop, so I'm going to have to watch that. Everything just shook in front of me, and I'm like, oh, doggy. Yeah. Thunder's been crazy today. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Hello. Is that East Books or YS Books? Because I think, I do all the fantasy stuff, and I think of the Lost City of Ys, which is spelled YS. It's claimed to be the city that Paris was based on, that there was once a great grand city like Atlantis-like, and it was destroyed, and when they rebuilt it, they rebuilt Paradis in its place, which means, I think, like idol to Paris. It's one of the legends about how Paris got its name. So that's what I think of when I see that. So if I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry, but that's why. But I'm glad you're here. So Shelby usually writes novels and just discovered that they like writing short stories. I used to love writing short stories. I wrote so many of them. Yeah. I'm just going to say this. I used to be an overwriter, and I did some militant things. I've got a video on my channel right now called How to Play the Game Being a Gamer Writer, which I go through my whole process, so I don't go through it here. I got militant, and in drafting, clamped myself down.
I'm definitely an underwriter, that's for sure.
Sarah's doing the second draft revision work on their. Honey, I need to read this book. You know this, like, beta reader. I'll find a way to fit it in my schedule. I mean, I already know I do too many streams. Just, but I will definitely read your book. Yep. Hello. See where we. I could do it that way. I suppose Grammarly lets you upload the file. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how Grammarly works that way. There were a couple tools that, at least at the time when I checked out the two, and I've been using Pro Writing Aid for a while. Grammarly didn't back then let you put up a list of like watchwords that that you overuse, that you want it to underline every time, and Pro Writing Aid does.
That's very handy.
Yeah, because there's certain words. I have some bad crutch words that are not normal crutch words. So having it be able to underline and highlight those every time was very helpful. That's why I went with Pro Writing Aid over Grammarly. Grammarly probably has that feature now. I don't know. I bought a lifetime membership for Writing Aid because I wanted to give them some support. So it's what I use now. Hello, I believe it's Mari. Mari? If I'm wrong, let me know. I hate mispronouncing names. Oh, I know. Okay, so I've talked about this on streams before. I talk about this on the podcast all the time, and people think I'm crazy. I've never actually shown him on the stream before. I believe in mythic living, which means whether or not you believe in spookies or things or not, pretending that they are real can be very helpful psychologically to help you get through things. So I would like to introduce you all to Bob. This is Bob. This is my inner critic. And if you were a fan of the TV show, The Dresden Files, not the books are great, but Bob's a very different character in the books than Bob was in the TV show. This is Bob. This is my inner critic. Bob sits on my desk. When my inner critic starts speaking out, I start yelling at Bob and telling Bob to shut up. It's gotten so bad, my husband yells at Bob when his inner critic gets going. This has become a thing in our house. This is Bob. This is my inner critic, and he needs to just shut the F up. That is something that has helped me out so much because you start fighting with yourself and you start tearing yourself down, which starts stressing you out, giving you anxiety. That's not a good thing. And like I said, it's a plastic skull on top of a gargoyle. I don't actually think that it has like power and whatnot, but who knows? It might. Tulpas are a thing. But the psychological benefits I get from yelling at that stupid plastic skull helps me just keep moving because sometimes you need a little bit of help. So that's the other thing that I do, which is rather weird, but y'all are used to me now, right? I mean, this is the channel where Papa shows up every now and then because Papa's just got to show up every now and then, right? You got to be getting used to me by now. All right. The stream will be up for you to watch if you want to, and I hope to see you back soon. Yeah, with that, I do that one all the time, way too much. I also have this bad habit of getting distancing. I have a lot of distancing words that I use when I'm drafting that removes you from the character. So instead of saying that it is hot outside, I do a lot of it felt hot, but because I have read way too many thesauruses and thesauri, whatever the word is, in my life, I have a lot of pretty words for felt or saw or thought that make it into my work, and they have to die. With fire, preferably. Yeah, I don't know, but if it is in there, that's a big help being able to highlight those. It is pronounced Mary. All right, I'm sorry. Hi, Mary. I will try to remember that because I think there's another person that has that spelling, but it's Mari. Like it's actually got and one person who said it was pronounced Mari, I think, because people are from all over the world on YouTube, and I love that. But I get so confused. So I don't mean any disrespect. Please forgive my mistakes. All right, so let's do another sprint. Is everybody ready for that? I am. Let's see. We've been doing this for 36 minutes. So I'm thinking a 25-minute sprint. Is Sid here yet? I haven't seen Sid in the comments yet. No, Sid would have my back. What are y'all thinking? Because if that's too long, let me know. I like me a longer sprint. That's something I'm very big on. Let's see. What do we? Yeah. Oh, the things we learn when we edit. So much. It sounds good. Sounds good.
I've put my work aside so I can get fresh before I edit it, but I'm so nervous to go through it because I know it's going to be like a dumpster fire the first draft. I'm just like, oh.
A lot of times. See, I'm in this horrible state where I have an entire trilogy written in the box, ready to go. And then the world decided to burn down. And it's a protracted meditation on death, with death as a main character, with a healer who treats disease. And I just went, now's just not the right time for me to put that. It feels way too opportunistic and wrong to be putting that out in the world right now. Like, I would feel dirty. So I'm scrambling because this was supposed to be my rapid release year.
Oh, no.
But I think this year burned us all to the ground when it comes to plans.
Yes.
Planning is the devil this year. All right, so everybody seems in. Make sure you have a beverage. I am drinking the water, but I have my tea brewed. So the caramel apple tea will be making an appearance shortly. But make sure you hydrate. Make sure you're doing your stretches. If you don't know the stretches, go watch Austin K's beautiful video where she goes through all of those wrist exercises, because we need to keep our hands healthy. Make sure you stand up and move around from time to time, because legs are a thing, especially when you have bad ones like I do. And let's go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. Get all the words. I know you can. Beep, 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 beep. I counted faster than it did because I don't know what a second is because I'm a Dorset. Hi.
Hello.
Why don't o'clock is so off? Oh my goodness. I realized I got to 0 and it was at 2. Oh my goodness. So everybody to that time. I actually got some words in that time. Had to calm the dog down again because Thor's making all kinds of noises outside and she's not happy about it. I'm just like, if you keep being upset, then Chris is never going to come into the house. I mean, goodness. Oh man. So I got about let's see, that's about 130 words that time, but I had to do some research. I'm doing up the justice system for my dark fantasy setting, and I needed to look up stories about the goddess Themis, and there aren't a lot of stories about Themis. So I get to make some. Yay!
Ah. Woohoo.
How did you do, Megan?
I just worked on doing more research on Wikipedia, and I came up with our what if question. So hopefully at some point soon I'll come up with an idea for a story.
Oh, story ideation is a thing. Before I get into the comments, because I see them starting to come in, tomorrow at I think 5 o'clock Central Time, I'm going to be doing a live stream with Jules, the dawdling writer, and we're going to be talking about the Save the Cat genres. And it's not just going to be about the Save the Cat genres. I think, for me at least, they're the best way to know if I have an idea ready to write. Because I am a gamer writer, which a lot of people call a pantser or a plantser, somewhere between a planner and a plotter. I use these. I've used them for years to determine whether I have a story worthy of moving forward with, and that's going to be a lot of what we're talking about tomorrow. So
I'm going to have to catch that then.
The replay will be up. So if you can't make it at that time, we will definitely, the replay will be there. But I don't see anybody else talking about it. It's one of those things. Everybody's talking about Save the Cat right now, and I've been using Save the Cat since I read Blake's original books like 7-8 years ago, before Writes a Novel came out, when it was just about movies and whatnot. And I'm glad that more people are catching on to it, but it surprises me that nobody's talking about some of the utility that I have found in there. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing the thing. Hello, Leo. How are you doing on a Zoom call? But stopping in to say hi. Hello. Hopefully everybody is getting the words. I'm doing my best. I already know that I'm in trouble because everything in my setting is named in Old English, because that I decided to be different because everybody else uses Latin. So I'm using Old English, and so the justice system is called the demon because demon means judges. That's the word for judges in Old English. And I think it's really funny that everybody's being judged by the demon. It's spelled
That's
different,
funny.
but
I like it though.
It cracks me up, so I'm sticking with it. Did some editing this round, trying to cut down from 136K manuscript that used to be 140K. Okay, I am not laying judgment on you, Marvelous Miss Shelby. I started writing what I thought was going to be a 70,000 word story. I'm 40K into it, and I think I've just got past the break into 2. I think I've only written Act 1. So it's looking like it's going to be 120,000 or more. It's going to be a much bigger book than I thought, but we'll see what it
Big books are always good.
There's
too many short books in the world. Books.
This story was supposed to be a dirt simple romance to get back into writing, and my brain, being my brain, went, yeah, but all this other stuff's going on, so why not make it some palace intrigue thing too? Okay. Okay, why not? Let's have the palace intrigue on top of everything. Math homework. I love math. I think I'm alone in that. I often
Probably.
I love math. One of my many alternate lives that might have been, I was thinking of going and being a mathematician. I love doing math. I do math for fun. My sci-fi settings are obnoxious because I run spreadsheets and figure out the rook limit for ships leaving. I figure out exactly how far people can see on the horizon based off of the actual size of the planet and all kinds of crap. I love doing math way too much. I'm not saying I can necessarily help you with your homework or not, but if you're having some problems, we'll see what we can do about that. Might scare some people if you put a math equation in the chat. Is this about the thing tomorrow? It's going to be PM, Central Time, because we own a restaurant, so we get to sleep late and get up a little bit late. So, yeah, it's going to be 5 p.m. tomorrow. Hope I'm answering the question you're asking. Yeah, 5 p.m. Central tomorrow. Time zones are the devil. That's going to be my new song because Cachet's got her T song. My song's going to be Time zones are the devil because they are. But yeah,
I had such a hard time figuring out when this live stream was going to be. I'm like, okay, now. And I couldn't remember what time zone I'm in because I'm in Arizona. So we have like weird time zone over here. It's like Mountain Standard Time or something. And so I was like, so what time zone am I in?
See, if I had been a smarter, better person, I would have asked and done the math for you. But I don't think about these things. I'm terrible. Woo! Petra finished a scene in the sprint. I love finishing scenes. Scenes are so... I have feels. That makes me so happy because scenes are magic. They're the building blocks of story, and every time you get a scene done, your story is just it's coming to life. It's coming to life. I'm sorry. I get overexcited. So Mary got 100 words. Now trying to create a website for a blog.
That's fun.
Okay, I'm an old timer in this. I've been doing websites and web communities forever. I currently host at my website is through Squarespace because I found them to be the easiest one to use, personally speaking, because I used to write all my own PHP code and HTML code back before we had these wonderful things that did the work for you, because I'm an old timer in this. But if you need any assistance, hit me up because I do have some experience with WordPress and whatnot. Actually, I got a job request the other day because I got mad at a service I was using and I wrote a patch for them. I sent it in and they basically came back and offered me a supervisory role. And
oh my goodness,
I was like, no,
that's fun.
No, definitely not doing that. No,
no.
I stopped coding professionally for a reason. So Laura, I was trying to name a crone goddess last night. I am so excited for your series. If for those of you who may not know, Laura's doing this space opera thing with like this. It reminds me. It's like, I hope this doesn't offend you, but it's like if Dune met Stargate. That's what I've got in my head right now. That's what it feels like in my head right now, and I am so there for it. Apparently, the Latin for old woman, yeah, yes, that is correct. It is on us. Yeah, this is again one of the reasons why I decided to use Old English as the basis for my stuff. The other reason is most of my audience speaks English, and the words are oddly familiar. Like a lot of the words are oddly familiar, but different. Yeah, Latin can be a thing. Yeah, I'll think about that. I have some ideas. I'll think about that. Sarah, still plugging along on this scene. I don't remember the first book being this troublesome. Can I tell you a secret? It wasn't. I can almost guarantee you it wasn't. I have written several book series, and the first one, it's a trap. The first book is a trap, and we all need to realize that. It's going to probably be the smoothest. Even if you have trouble with it, you're going to be going. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be feeling good. You're going to get into book 2, book 3, however many you do in your work, and it's going to be like, what was I thinking? How did this happen? How did I forget the entirety of the English language? There's no way that this is an accident. They do. They get progressively more troublesome, especially if you have like really detailed continuities and timeline. And I use what do you call it? What do you call it? I forgot the name of the other app I use. Story Planner, which is for the most part free, I think, to keep track of all that. So if that's what's going on, but yeah, the words, they will come after you. Series are traps. That's why I almost always exclusively write series. Fall for it every time. Hey, the Quiet Adventurer is here. Your fantasy series is kind of like Game of Thrones meets Harry Potter. Ooh, tell me more. I don't know, but that came into my head. That actually sounds really interesting. Is it meets Harry Potter in that it's in the modern world, or that it takes place at a magic school and they're all fighting over control? Because I'm down for either. I'm seriously down for either, but inquiring minds have to know. Hey, Mr. P, use Wix. It's super easy. I've heard a lot of good things about Wix. I hear it isn't great for being found. I've heard that too. One of the things, I don't know if
it's
Wix,
not good for SEO.
Continue, or is that it? I felt like I talked over you.
Oh, I was going to say it's not great for SEO. For if you want to be found on the internet, it's not very good for having Google find you.
Yeah, Squarespace actually this is not sponsored by Squarespace, but they actually have a lot of good SEO tools in there, and they also have a lot of really good social tools built in where you can put in specific images that you want it to have as the default image when something gets shared from your site or from your page or from your blog post. They've got a lot of tools that I really like. But yeah, being found is really important. So bear that in mind, because trust me, as somebody who has screamed into the void for most of their life and career, is that fun? And sometimes the void screams back. Mary, you're using WordPress because everyone said it was the best. I love WordPress. I really do. I love WordPress. I used to use self-hosted WordPress. And like I said, nothing to take away from WordPress. I just get tired of writing patches for it because I was at a point in my life and career where I just wanted to use someone else's software. I just I wrote too many plugins and patches for it, and I went somewhere. Oop, did we cut out?
I don't think so.
Okay, the screen went weird for a second. What were you saying?
I'm good on here. Oh, I was going to say WordPress as a marketer was my favorite website host to use because it just had all the right tools and stuff.
I love WordPress, and if I wasn't such a particularist person, I would still be using it. I have a secret WordPress version of my website that I still play with from time to time, going, is it time to switch back? Is it? Shelby, the second book was easier for you, probably because half of it was originally in the first book. That's cheap. But the third one scared you. Yeah, as somebody who, like I said earlier, I just finished a trilogy. Book 3 was the hardest for me because I knew all of the story had to be wrapped up by the end. And trilogies are scary. I don't know if you're writing a trilogy or if it's just the third book in your series, but endings are hard.
Yep.
They're worth it if you can, when you figure them out, but they're hard. Mr. P, yes, I hear WordPress is the best. Okay, so definitely if you can do WordPress, the one thing I will tell you, as somebody who has been in the industry for an obscenely long amount of time, buy a domain name. Do not be myblog.wordpress.com. Google will not care about you. Or
Yes.
.wix.com or .whatever.com you're hosting at. Get a domain. A lot of these services, when you pay for an account, will give you a domain up front. Again, not a commercial. I use Hover for my domains because I have way too many. They've started giving me a bulk discounts on my renewal because I have way too many. Because every time I start a book series, I buy the domain name for the book series, so I have it, and other projects. But it's about $15 a year to have a domain, but it is money worth spent. Google will pay a lot more attention to you. Make sure you have a domain and try to get it as simple as you can make it, because you want it to be rememberable. And I hate to say this because there are a lot of really cool .this, that, and the others out there now. And if you get .author, because that does exist, or .book, which does exist, those are awesome. But people automatically type .com. So if you can try to get a .com, that will help you out immensely.
Yes. Great advice.
Sarah, I just hate second drafts. Editing. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll get on my sermon again. I do miss the plugins. I miss the plugins, especially since I'm doing a lot more with Patreon. My life would be a lot easier with WordPress. The Quiet Adventurer. I don't know why I got lost in your beautiful, beautiful Paris there for a second, but it's a beautiful, beautiful picture of Paris. I just thought of GOT meets Game of Thrones meets Lord of the Rings instead of Harry Potter. I realized that Harry Potter didn't make sense in your story. Ah, okay. Ooh, so do you have a good Dark Lord? Morgoth will come for us all with his many, many dragons. My Silmarillion is right there, never far away from me. You've got my attention. The official Mr. P. Wix does that as well. Wix has SEO tools as well. Ah, okay. That's cool. I'm glad to hear that, because SEO is a dark art. Okay, to everyone listening to the powers of my voice right now, if you are running a website and somebody promises you that they know the secrets to good SEO and that they will get you top ranking, they're either lying, trying to just completely rip you off, or they're practicing a dark art that could get your site banished from Google. There are tips and tricks that will help you out, but it is a dark art because Google doesn't want anybody to figure it out. And once you have it figured out,
no one can guarantee they can get you on the first page. Don't trust anyone who says that. It's not. Even the best people in the industry will say, well, we may be able to get you close to the second page, but no one can guarantee a first page.
There are a lot of scammers out there that are just after your money, so be mindful of that. But it's like if you're doing YouTube or anything else, try to keep your keywords as relevant as you can and put out good quality content, because links and shares matter. Wix doesn't work unless you have a domain name. Okay, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Really? Like I said, I do mine through Hover, and it's $15 a year. And that's before the discount for having way too many. So hover.com, they're from Canada, y'all. They're really good, and they protect your privacy. And they should be paying me. So Hover. You use Wix for your travel blog. Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yes. All right. So you're starting with the free one because you want to get a hang of it first. Yeah, it can be a bit tricky to get started. Just remember, don't feel pressured to do anything that you feel uncomfortable doing. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is there's so much advice out there, but if you're not good at finding free pictures, don't use other people's pictures. They will come after you. They will sue. If you don't know that you have the rights, don't use them. There are a lot of free software out there. I actually use on my phone an app called WordSwag that is really good for making banner images. You can do all the text and stuff in there, and they have 2 different sources that you can pull free images from or use your own. And there are quite a few other sources. Make sure it's Creative Commons. Respect that so you don't get in trouble. But yeah, don't do anything. If somebody tells you it's got to have an image on every post and you don't feel like doing that, then don't do it. Can it matter? Maybe, but there are a lot of blogs that I read religiously that don't use images at all. They're just straight text. So if anybody gives you any advice that you don't feel comfortable actually doing, just be like, thank you, and move on. That's the best advice I can give you in getting started. And be consistent. Pick the day of the month or the week that you're going to have new content out and do your best to stick with it. Start as small as you possibly can so you can keep your schedule, because consistency also matters.
Consistency is one of the top factors of if you're going to have success is if you can stay consistent. It might take a couple of years even to get there, but it'll happen if you just stay consistent with it.
Yep. Well, it works, but you can't unless you have a domain. Yeah, domains are a thing. I have way too many of them. My personal favorite one, if you want to see a really weird picture, is I own biggaybettyWhite.com. That is I own biggaybettyWhite.com. It's an inside joke between me and people at one of the conventions that I go to, because I am known at the convention as Big Gay Betty White for many reasons. And there are a lot of it's basically a landing page of inside jokes.
That's funny.
Don't buy domains when not sober. Okay. The Queer Adventure story is in 3 parts. In one full novella, and the MC, Alloway, finds the killer of the king's hand, and ish goes down from there. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Pixabay is a very good place to find images. Thank you for that. I was actually trying to remember that name. Thank you for that.
I also like Unsplash is another good one. They have really high quality photos on there, and they're all Creative Commons.
And before I forget, because it is free to use unless you want to do some of the more advanced stuff, there's a wonderful site called Art Breeder, and I can't remember what the dot is after that, because I think it's like .cc or something like that. Just search for Art Breeder, one word. It lets you create original artwork by plugging in, what if this picture and this picture had a baby?
Oh.
And it does amazing work. It has sliders that you can use to adjust for making portraits, landscapes, album covers, all kinds of artwork. If you need to quickly kit bash something together and you want an original work, all of the work created on their site is public domain. And thus, anything that you create using a free account, it will appear in the recent page. If you want no one to see it, they have a paid account, and everything that you make is private, which I do because I use it for quite a few of the images, because I like things to look photographic, and sometimes I don't have time to set up a 3D render. So, but they do have a free version of the software that's really good to use and play with, and you can make some monstrous things if you're not careful, and you can make some really, really pretty pictures. If you go to my Dragons of Night page, which is linked from my channel page, all of the portraits that are up in the over there for the I think it's the Foundations page that has them all listed out. Those were all made with Art Breeder, and then I went over and resketched different parts of it to make it the way I wanted to, but I was able to do 10 characters like that and have the basics laid down and then draw on the details that I wanted on top of that. So that's a really good source for free imagery. Okay, so we talked for a bit longer than I intended. Sorry, it's my sneeze. I think y'all
That's
used to
okay.
me right by now. I want to do another sprint. Now, if I say this every time I do one of these with a co-host, I should have asked before I got on here with you, but I literally don't have anything to do today except for write. I'm
Neither
going to be
do
writing
I.
all day.
My time is your time.
So I'm going to be writing all day. My hubby works late at the restaurant tonight, so I'm going to be writing. So I don't know how long this stream will last. We'll be doing it as long as you all want us to. I'm thinking 25 to 30 for the next sprint. So
Works for
let me
me.
know what you all think. If you have any disagreements on that, I can't tell if you're new or not. I think it could be easier to make a website from scratch if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Define know what you're doing. Because I'm one of those people that I used to make websites professionally. So I'm always making like resource documents and stuff and making sure I've got my color schemes and art style and fonts and all that worked out. So sometimes, sometimes not. Hi, oops, it's here. When is that book coming out? Is it what? A couple days, couple years, couple feels like an eternity. You're the marketing. If you want to see good marketing, go follow Mr. Sapak on Instagram, and you will see some gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff that every time I see it, I just go, I'm going to be able to read that soon, right? Right? And you came just in time. We're about to do a long one. Ooh, 26:37. That sounds good. That sounds
Unusual.
good.
Always good.
I like doing them weird, crazy numbers. And I've been forgetting to grow trees in my forest. Oh, well, my forest is going to be light today. Oh, how do I do the things? I forget everything. 26:37. It also helps when you have two keyboards in front of you to pick the right keyboard to type in. Because I'm sitting here typing the number over and over again and going, why aren't you working? Why aren't you working? And I'm looking at my document and it's 26:37, 26:37. Because I'm good at what I do. Alrighty, is everybody ready? Do you have your beverage? I've almost finished my water and I went and got my tea at the end of the last one. So I've got my beverage. Don't forget to save your documents. Don't forget to do your stretches. We are about to begin writing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Write. Get them words. Since we both turned our cameras off, I'm just going to let Laura be in charge for a little bit. There you go, Laura. It's your stream now. Beep, 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 beep. Time's up. The Time Lord's heart is beating again, and it is time for us to see how well we all did. Laura was a kind master to us throughout the sprints. I hope I'm not too distracting. Sometimes I just, have a thing during the sprints, and I just figure, I don't know, if it's good enough for Brooke Passmore to be all crazy and doing stuff during hers, I can do it too. So, how did everybody do that time? I think that might have been that. Yep, I did 224 words.
Nice.
I had to look up some names. Problem with trying to incorporate mythology into your setting is remembering who everybody is and where they were at what time.
It's a lot of names to remember.
Yes, it is. I do this to myself because I love it. Just have to keep repeating that too. Just keep repeating. Oh wow, the chat just completely blew up. So bingo to anybody who was waiting on me to say that. Let's see, where did we leave off? Okay, so there we are. I think I see where we are now. Actually, not a lot of things were said. It just jumped weird. That's strange.
Huh.
Ooh,
Well, I did some research. Hi, doll.
Hi, doll.
I did some research, and I found a interesting legend called the vegetable lamb of Tartary, and it's a legendary zoophyte of Central Asia, once believed to grow sheep as its fruit. It was believed the sheep were connected to the plant by an umbilical cord and grazed the land around the plant. When all the accessible foliage was gone, both the plant and the sheep died. It's fascinating. I don't know how I'll fit it into any contemporary story.
I wanted to use that for a while. I think that could be a really interesting idiom for people who are trying to make veganism thing. Because I've actually thought about trying to do that. So for my magic vegans in the setting that I'm working on, because there would be some. I have a reprint of an old bestiary from the Middle Ages that has some illustrations and everything for it, and I just every now and then I just open it up and go, why isn't that a thing yet? Like, science. Why isn't that a thing yet?
I just think it's funny that people used to believe it was real at one point. Like,
I just have to say, in defense of people in old-timey eras, for those of you who don't know, I was raised in the 1700s. I was raised out in the middle of the country. We had a farm. I lived on a dirt road. I learned how to cook on a Franklin pot-belly wooden stove. I've seen some weird things out in the woods. I'm not saying that there are like sheep plants or anything out there, but there are some weird things out in the woods if you go out far enough. And I could understand, especially before you had an idea of what is and is not possible, going, I don't know, maybe? Sure, why not? Woo! Mary created a page for her website. Good. That counts. I'm going to give you 500 words for that, because
that definitely counts.
Creating a page is definitely a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Petra.
Nice.
Wow. 396. I almost couldn't bring myself to say it. That's amazing. That is so good. That is so good. Sarah's done with another scene. And moving on to the next one. But I get the feeling it's going to be just as troublesome. Well,
not. Hopefully not.
Just do what I do and just put on music, and every time it gets troublesome, just sing. That's why I don't get much work done, but I do get work done. I can think of several songs that would be fun for just. Oh, sorry! Loud thunder just cracked. We've had trees get hit around here. Like when the windows shake, I look, because a tree in my backyard burned down a couple years ago. updated a page. It was the thing. In the middle of a snowstorm, it got struck by lightning. So there's snow and fire. I was like, I'm living in a George R. R. Martin book. Look, a tree of ice and fire. Stephanie updated a page on their website. That's awesome. I thought this was going to be really simple. And then I got to the point where it's like, what's the myth of their founding? And I went, that's right. I could write a myth of their founding. And so, of course, I'm writing a myth of their founding. These only have to be 300 words each. Why not make it a nice, 1,000? I mean, I'm already up to 566 words on this. Why not go for 1,000? Why not?
Why not?
Had dinner? Does that count? Of course that counts. It depends on what you had. We have varying amounts of points for the food. I personally think nachos count for 1,000 points, but I'm in the minority on that. But that's just because somebody who shall not be named, who's currently in chat, had nachos the other night. Maybe really want nachos, and I mentioned it to my hubby, and my hubby made miraculous nachos appear. So magic. Ooh. Yay! But I know chocolate and donuts and brownies also count. Wood stories. We need a late night scary story. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. I've been asked to do some late night streams, and I'm tempted to do them. I don't know. I kind of want somebody else here with me because I get out of control by myself. If anybody who watched my live stream yesterday when I just started streaming, I need somebody to be like, Charlie, not Charlie. Mr. P, no words, but did get a piece of birthday cake. Is it your birthday?
Birthday cake.
Is it your birthday? I feel bad if it's your birthday and I didn't wish you happy birthday. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. If it's not happy birthday, whoever's birthday it is. Birthday cake is some of the best cake in the world. My second family, my second sister used to make unbirthday cakes for people that were unbelievable because she kept track of all of that stuff. It was amazing.
Nice.
Alley Cat doing more math homework and getting close to finishing an assignment. That's all the points.
Woo.
That's all the points. Getting homework done is all the points because I was terrible at that. The Quiet Adventurer is working on a historical World War II story. Oh, and the main character is gay. And I don't want to be offensive. And that can be tricky. What kind of research should I do to make my story not offensive? One, if you're really worried, make sure you have a sensitivity reader. I know I have volunteered for that, and I know several others have on various occasions. That can help you out a lot. I'm trying to think, World War II. One thing, if you want to do some contemporary research, this deals more with World War I than World War II, but crap, I just lost his name. Lawrence, the man that Lawrence of Arabia is based off of, wrote a book called, I believe, The 7 Pillars of Wisdom, which is his life story. I can't think of his full name, and I'm not good at talking and typing at the same time. He was also gay. T.E. Lawrence. He was also gay, and if you want to know from a contemporary person what that was like, his autobiography is horrific because he would pay people to beat him to try to get the gay out of him because that was a big thing at the time. You could also look into the life of Alan Turing, who was active during World War II. He helped crack the Enigma code and was also gay and was chemically castrated by his government for it because reasons. They did apologize to him 50 years after he died, so that makes it all better, right? Definitely, I would look at Alan Turing and anything about him. Even something as simple as watching The Imitation Game, which isn't the best retelling of Alan Turing's story, but it's got Benedict Cumberbatch in it, so I watched it. it does help you get a sense of that need to hide. That was a big part of life back then. Like, if you're really wanting to capture what it was like to be LGBTQ in the 40s, I know there's a lot written about Turing and some of the others who, had to suffer from that. Just a couple things that I would say to always bear in mind. I grew up I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and back then it was really uncool to be queer. So one thing that I can tell you all people, at least of my generation, do when they walk in a room, they immediately notice the intimacy level of the couples in the room to try to immediately gauge who's who in the room. So we really carefully look at like everyone who's there. And if we see two men standing close together, we start reading the body language to see if we might be in a safe space. Or if we see two women close to each other, that's just an instinctive thing that we picked up back in the day, because it was not okay to announce that you were there or to accidentally let it slip. So I know that from my own horrible early days that we were very careful to also know as many people in the community as we could so that we could see each other. And we had a lot of secret signs that we had, such as bandanas, things that we kept in our pockets and whatnot that signaled to other people. We basically had an entire secret code that we used for that. And the last thing I would say, especially in World War II, look up Polari. It is a language that was developed by English dock workers that was often used by the queer community during the Second World War because a lot of people could not understand it. It's kind of a pidgin of English with a little bit of Romani and Polish and French and Spanish all kind of mixed together in a hodgepodge that they would use to talk to each other so that they wouldn't get caught. So I hope that helps. That's just some of the stuff off the top of my head. I would also maybe try contacting the folks at GLAAD or GLSEN, because I've actually sent them questions in the past and they've sent me resources, because they actually have a lot of things for screenwriters and novelists set up to try to help them write queer characters better. So
that's good to know.
Nachos are amazing. Love me some nachos. Food in general is amazing. Yes. Yes. Very true. Very true. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I need to set up a co-host and figure out a good time and whatnot, because yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. It's your birthday? Happy birthday, Mr. P.
Oh, happy birthday.
You don't have to say your age, but because I don't know how old you are. I'm 43, and I never thought I would live this long. So I'm very proud of being 43, and I don't see anything wrong with aging, personally, because if you knew some of the shenanigans I got up to in my youth, you would be amazed. I lived to be 43 as well. I think everybody's kind of shocked that I made it here. Let's see. It's also a historical fiction that is based on... Ooh. But he was a medic who went to London. Definitely, if you're going to be doing stuff in London, definitely look up Polari. A lot of resources with that will help you find other things. There were quite a few Hellfire clubs, and that existed. Some of them were actual really like dark places where they did BDSM and stuff, but others were just places where it was safe to go if you were into swinging or if you were queer. And because that was all stuff that would send you to hell, they were often called Hellfire clubs that existed throughout London at the time, that if they knew about any of those, but they were raids, and it was actually illegal and punishable by hard labor. And I believe for most men, they could get out of the hard labor requirement if they agreed to chemical castration during the war years. So I hope that helps. It's a dark period of time to talk about. Mr. P. Okay, that sparked a remembrance question. In college, I had to read A Streetcar Named Desire. I think I remember learning that Tennessee Williams was gay. Yes, Tennessee Williams was infamously, I believe Tennessee Williams was bisexual, if I'm remembering correctly. It's so hard to remember because bi erasure is such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, most people consider Freddie Mercury gay, but he wasn't. He was bi. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was bi and was very proudly so, and willed everything to a female companion of his when he died.
Oh.
He was very flamboyantly homosexual, which makes most people think of him as, as gay, because he really indulged in the tropes of gay lifestyle. But he was in fact bisexual.
Oh.
He actually wrote the Queen song "You're My Best Friend" based on her.
Oh. Learn something new every day.
I normally run queer panels at conventions, so I have had to develop an encyclopedic knowledge as best as possible on these, because that's a whole thing. Yeah, I hope that does. Oh no, don't worry, that is not too personal. I am here to help. I really feel like it's important to speak openly and honestly about these issues and many, many others, and get them out there, especially because of our history. I don't know if it's still in print, and if you are heterosexual, it may be a very shocking book to read, but Larry Kramer's History of LGBT People, I believe is what he called it. It was also printed once as History of the Gay Community. It is a massive set of books. I forgot how many thousands of pages it is, because he chronicled everything. It was kind of his master opus. If you could find the volume, I think it's volume 3, that deals with the 40s, I'm sure Larry chronicled all kinds of stuff in there that I am forgetting to think about. So that might also be something. But Larry was very forceful in his language. So that's why I said it may be shocking, because Larry didn't mince words, and he is greatly missed. I love Queen. I love Queen so much. I do get a little bit mad about the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, but if you want to know why, Cynical Historian did a wonderful movie review about the historicity of Bohemian Rhapsody on his channel, and he kind of is mad at that movie for the same reasons I am. So give Cynical Historian some love. He's got a great channel, especially if you're into history. Actually, he does a lot of stuff. I don't know if he actually has one on being LGBT in World War II, but he would be a really good resource also. So you might want to check out his channel and see if he's got anything to help you with that too. I love me my rock music. I literally am sitting here writing this story with listening to Ghost and Lucifer, because I listen to all the dark stuff while I write, and Black Sabbath and all that, because it's the kind of person that I am. And so, yeah, rock music is my thing, because that's actually how I talked my mother into letting me grow my hair out when I was still a fledgling little boy, trying to explain to her that I'm not a boy. Because, well, look at all the rock stars. They do fine. Can I please? Please? It's cool. That's how I first got to grow my hair out. I would be interested in doing another sprint in a little bit if you all would like to continue to write with me, so you can start sharing the times that you would like. That would be amazing. I wanted to see them on that tour. I really wanted to see them on that tour. I think I'm not the world's biggest Adam Lambert fan, to be honest. I do like quite a bit of his music. My sister adores him. But I think that of the rock stars that could pull off the bravado necessary he's one of them. I can't think of his name right now because I'm really bad at names. That's why I have large sheets in front of me when I'm writing, so I remember everybody's name. But the lead singer for Panic at the Disco, they did
Brendan Urie.
Yeah, that's it. They have a live video of them performing Bohemian Rhapsody that is astounding and kind of makes me wish they would have asked him to fill in for Freddie, because he, like, say what you will about any of the other songs, because he doesn't sing like that normally in their music, but they do Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen style, and that man can do things with his voice that I did not know he was capable of doing. So that's probably still up on the YouTube. I think it was on their official channel. So, have I seen Love, Simon, Love, Victor? No. I want to. Okay, so as I've mentioned several times, I'm married, and we try to save any romantic movies like that for like date nights, because we work all the time and neither one of us has taken a day off forever. So I really want to watch Love, Simon. I kind of want to read the book that it's based on. What's it called? Simon versus the Homo sapien Agenda, I think. I've got that on one of my read lists because I really want to watch it. I am very curious. I have heard good things. I was initially not interested in it because I'm kind of done with coming out stories. Like, I get every generation needs to do them, but there's so many you can watch in a lifetime before you just are, okay. And I was told that it's not really a coming out story, even though that's what the trailers made it look like. So I am interested. I do want to watch it, but
I haven't seen it either.
I've heard very good things. Yes. I have to say, when I was going through my unscheduled mental health vacation a little while back, that was one of the things that would help, like, snap me out, because the performance, Freddie's performance, man. And I don't know if it still is or not, but the whole thing was up on Queen's YouTube channel, so you could watch the whole performance from live.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was. Yeah, that's that name. I was shocked because I don't dislike Panic at the Disco, but the idea of his, from the way he performs his music, him doing a Queen song, I was just like, oh, this is gonna set me off. And then I heard it and I just jaw dropped. Like, why don't you sing like that more often? Like, wow. Where are we at? Do stuff. Simon versus, yeah. If my husband continues to wish to watch the wonderful action movies that he loves so much, I might sneak in the other room and watch it on my own. So I am wanting to do a sprint. If anybody wishes to go, oh wow, we've been streaming for 2 hours and 20 minutes already. Time doth fly. So how,
yes, it does.
Especially when you're actually getting research. I like to say I'm getting words done, I'm getting research done. So how long would you like to do that? So Sarah's going to go grab dinner with family. Thank you for coming, and I can't wait to read your book. Have the fun, because this may be our last sprint. Because thinking about the time, I might need to actually start preparing dinner soon-ish too. But I'm thinking maybe another, say, 25, 30, because that would round us out to being a 3-hour. Maybe give us a little time to say our goodbyes at the end. I think that should
work.
Plus, I really want to get at least this origin story for these people done. Because it's not that I don't enjoy figuring out the mythos behind some of these people, but I did not expect to be, oh, okay, and this is, okay, you're touching on that now. Okay. Well, that's stuff I didn't expect to be in this draft of the world building, but it is. So let's see. Where's the tab? Okay. What do you think? Let's do 25. Another 25. And then we will say our thingies. Did that work? Yay. Yesterday, the reason I keep getting nervous about this is yesterday when I was doing the streams, for some reason when I went to make it full screen, the 25 would jump so half of it was cut off.
That's weird.
And I don't know what was causing it. And I've been like paranoid all day. Like, can you actually see the timer? Okay. That was strange. Anywho, let's get going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get all the words. We can do it. Beep, 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 beep. How did everybody do? I had a good sprint that time. A lot better than I thought I was going to have, because I got to the point where I had to define their tenets of belief. And I actually got all of them figured out, which is
Woohoo!
because I didn't think I would get them all figured out. So I got, what was it, 271 words that time.
Nice.
So yay!
Woohoo!
That makes for happy. How did you do that time?
I did some more research. I found another interesting article on a old gem merchant who was famous in France for finding a giant diamond or something like that. That was.
Are you sure you're not working on a secret like urban fantasy or something like that? I mean, you've got the goat trees and now these.
I don't know where to fit all these into whatever story I come up with, but these are just the things that are catching my attention.
Well, it's always good to find things that capture our attention because that's where good stories come from.
Yeah.
Where are we? Yeah, I should turn off the we're sprinting because we're not sprinting. Turn that off. Okay, so we just finished that. Let's see, I think we're here. Quite an adventure. If you're interested in reading my World War II story, it's on Wattpad. And the username is Singer Abby 10. The story is called William and the Letters. Ooh, I like that title. I really like that.
Right now, I tried looking it up, but I'm gonna have to wait.
Somebody said earlier that they received an email that they'd been hacked.
I remember.
I have a Wattpad account. I didn't see an email from them, but looking at my email is a dark and scary place that I should not be in right now. But yeah, I will definitely check that out. If I forget, if you don't see me, I'm CE Dorset on Wattpad. I do have a Wattpad. I don't use it as much as I used to. I'm going to be posting most of my stories over on World Anvil this time around. But if you don't see at least a comment from me saying, hey, how you doing? I'm reading this, then, I've forgotten. You need to tell me again because I can get stupid sometimes. I have problems with that. Fix some lights on a spaceship cockpit. Woohoo!
Nice.
Lights are such a pain in the butt. They're such a pain in the butt. I hope whatever you're doing this in has a really good pre-visualizer in it, because I feel so guilty that I am making models for the characters in the story because I'm an odd fan of my own work, and trying to get them lit right is always a nightmare. It's always a nightmare, but I'm using free software for the rendering, so the pre-rendering, like, it looks gorgeous, and then you hit the render button and it starts showing up and you're like, that's not how any of that's supposed to work. So yeah, that lighting is such a thing. The Quiet Adventurer edited a paragraph.
Nice.
Sometimes I remember in my first book when I had the world's worst editor that has ever edited in the history of editing for so many reasons that I'm not going to go into again. But in future, if you want to just have Charlie rant, Charlie can do the whole stream about why I despise my first editor. Anyway, yeah, they sent me notes that were so self-contradictory on one paragraph that it took like 3 days for me to decipher what they meant, so I could do something about it. Because, yeah, and that's part of the reasons why I am indie published now. One of many, but part of the reason I am indie published now, because you can't fire an editor you're assigned.
Oh man,
that's a thing you can't do. Hello, the pronoun I. You're new. I haven't seen you here. I keep having to remind myself that my main character's love interest doesn't need to be someone I find attractive. Yeah. That can be a thing. I've noticed that in my own work, which is really weird because, at least in my current whip, the person, I'm so afraid it's going to end up in a polyamorous clump at the end, but that's my own issues and the way the story is progressing. But the two main love interests for the main character, one is so definitely my type that it's almost self-congratulatory to write. And the other one is not, but the character is more interested in that one. So we shall see what happens. It's really stretching me out there. So Petra, so close to the end of a scene, so close. You'll get there. You'll get there. Mary, see 230 words of your murder mystery. Ooh. That would be a good murder mystery. I have this like secret thing. Like I like old cozy mysteries. I mean, like I love Ellis Peters books. Like if you want to know where my heart is when it comes to mystery, if you've ever read an Ellis Peters book, that's where I am. Like she is my absolute favorite, and she was a she, but she wrote under a man's name because it was the time. But Ellis Peters books are my favorite, and I keep telling myself one day I'm going to write my own series of cozy mysteries in the style of Ellis Peters, just because it would be so much fun. And I don't think I'll ever do that because I can do a conspiracy in a palace really well, but figuring out all the red herrings and stuff I don't know if I have it in me. I respect mystery writers so much.
Yeah.
Like the amount of restraint and planning that it takes to throw people off the track, but not so much that when the truth gets revealed, you're like, wait a minute.
I wish I could remember the name of the book. I really like to. What she did is it was a book about an art dealer, and there was a painting at the center of it, but she went through the eyes of each character so that you had no idea who was going to be the person who did it, the big mystery.
That sounds fun.
It's such a good book. I wish I could
want to read. We need to find out what the name of that book is. We want to read.
I will look it up.
Speaking of which, before I get off the stream, I need to look up who wrote Fire and Fiction for you all, because I promised that was the thing that I was going to do. Before I get off here. Okay, so Alley Cat, I might take a short nap for a bit, but we'll try to be back if you're still going to keep going. I don't know if I am or not. We're almost at the 3-hour mark, and I've kind of gotten into this thing where I've been doing 3-hour streams, and consistency can be a thing. So I don't know. I feel weird because I'm just going to get off of here and go over to somebody else's stream. So there's that, but it helps when you click the right buttons, because I'm not. That's good. Let's see. Fire and Fiction. Of course, I find the one thing that I have to scroll and scroll and scroll. I'll find that in a second. Let's see. Don't use what? Yeah, I was over there for a while, and I really liked the idea of community, because they're so big on that idea of, we're building this community and it's going to be awesome. And I know some people have found that. More power to you. I did not. And it's not that people didn't read any of the stories that I put up there, but that it felt like I was just posting free fiction for people to read. Nobody was commenting. Nobody was, every now and then they would leave they would hit the, what is it, star on Wattpad? The little thing that you say to say that you like it on chapters and stuff from time to time. And I mean, that was great and all, but I didn't feel the community, and that's something so important to me. And I wanted more of that. I ended up finding that on World Anvil, and I'm a huge fan of the community over there. I have recently signed up for their streaming core, so I will be doing more streams, and those will be dedicated more to world building, but all people are welcome to be in on that, and I'm waiting to find out when I'm going to be on the schedule for that. The book that I was talking about earlier is called Fire in Fiction, Passion, Purpose, and Technique to Make Your Novel Great, and it is by Donald Moss. So I was right. I'm a big fan of a lot of his work. He helped me get out of a lot of techniques. This book in particular could be helpful to you in the writing, the drafting phase. I find it really helpful in editing, because for every technique that he talks about, because that's all this book is here's this technique that works well for this technique that works well for that. In editing, I pull this book out when I have a scene that I'm like, it's broken and I don't know how to fix it, and try and work through the exercises in it to help massage it and get it the story where I want it to be. I still use it to this day. I really, really do like it.
Nice. I always like a good book recommendation. So
the other one that I would give that no one reads, I think I'm the only person that read, is Worlds of Wonder by David Gerald. I'm hoping it's still in print. Here, while I've got Amazon open, Worlds of Wonder. This was a book. Wow, everything's named Worlds of Wonder. Let's be more specific. By David. So note to everyone out there, don't name your work Worlds of Wonder. Everyone else did. Everyone else did. There's like 5,000. Yes, it is still in print. It has a snazzy new cover on there.
And what's his last name?
David Gerald. Gerrold. This was a book that I read very early in my career because I got to meet David at a convention. He got famous. He for having his first screenplay made when he was 16 years old. He sent in a script that he had written for an episode titled Trouble with Furry Things to a little show called Star Trek. And it happened to make its way onto Gene Roddenberry's desk and became Trouble with Tribbles.
That's funny.
They worked with him and helped him make it into Trouble with Tribbles. He continued to work on the original series. He wrote quite a few episodes of The Next Generation. He's written a series of novels. My personal recommendation for them is he got mad that the studio and Gene Roddenberry would not allow him to write any of the LGBT characters and storylines that he had planned, and he wrote them himself in his Star Wolf series. So if you are a Star Trek fan and wish there was a bit more gay in it, Star Wolf is basically Star Trek with queer people.
Nice.
And if you're a fan of The Next Generation, you can kind of like imagine the TV episode, because while he changes the names and some of the descriptions, you can tell, oh, this was supposed to be a Riker episode, or this was supposed to be like they're really good books. I think there's 3 or 4 of them out, maybe more. I know he was working on more. I'm so behind on my reading, but I think there's 3 or 4 very good books. But I learned a lot from him. That book is in very short, bite-sized pieces and literally covers everything from start to finish in writing. And nice. I don't know if it'll help you or not, but that's my number one recommendation, because it's like the one size fits all, and then find out what you have trouble with and find better resources to zero in. And let's see, where are we? The Quiet Adventurer. I literally threw my book when I was at the Texas Greek. Oh, yeah, I love that book. I love that book so much. Don't get me started about the Baz Luhrmann film. I honestly can't tell you if it was good. I have a deep, abiding love for that book, and some things happened, I think about 30 minutes into the movie, that showed me that Baz has never read the book. Which, I love Baz Luhrmann, and it's like quite obvious most of the time he's never read the source material. So, but I just couldn't. So it's one of the few movies I didn't finish. But I love that book. So speaking of Baz Luhrmann, if you haven't watched the Get Down, which is his version of the mythic origins of hip hop music, it's on Netflix. It is brilliant. It stars Justice Smith, who is amazing. It was the first thing I ever saw him in, and I absolutely love him in that. It is so good. It is entertaining, and I wish it would have gotten more seasons. Let's see, I haven't felt welcomed in a community in a long time, so I'm always humbled how nice people are in this community. I know what you're saying. I really feel that way too. I lurked in AuthorTube for a long time before I started doing anything like public, like before I even like started chatting in the chats, which happened long before I started actually talking in the chats. I think like a lot of people, I found AuthorTube through Kate Kavanaugh's. I tried writing like Stephen King video, which introduced me to Brooke Passmore, and then introduced me to Becca C. Smith. And they are my heroes. They helped me through a lot of dark times. I don't know if Becca is ever going to see this, but she knows I say this about her all the time. She is a gem of a human being in real life, and she is amazing. So, but yeah, this community is so welcoming, and I want to make it more so. Like when Grayson and I started doing these streams last week, we did it very intentionally in that we were the only 2 trans author tubers that we knew of.
Oh, wow.
And
now that you think about it, yeah.
Yeah. And we wanted to attract more, like, well, this is the space. Like if you feel uncomfortable, because, I understand feeling uncomfortable in, heterosexual places. If it's not obvious, the queerness that exudes out of me, this is a welcoming place for all people. But that was very intentional on our part when we started doing this. Trouble with Tribbles is awesome. And so is the Deep Space Nine episode. What was it? Trials and Tribulations? Trials and Tribulations? They did a play on the word tribble in the title, where they get sent back in time and have to go through Trouble with Tribbles without messing up the timeline.
Oh, wow.
Those 2 together are so good. I huge Star Trek nerd. Huge Star Trek nerd. If you want to know how much, there's an episode of my podcast called How I Got to Meet Ethan Peck. It will explain everything to you. Over my desk, I'm not in my office today, but over my desk I have a painting of Kirk and Spock riding Puff the Magic Dragon. So. Oh,
wow. Nice.
I'm a Star Trek fan from way back. I always have a big stack of books to read, which is why I was very happy when these things happened, because even with this, I still have the bookcase here, the bookcase there, the bookcase down the hall. My office is filled with bookcases, and there's a stack of books next to me here. There's a stack of books over there, even with the digital world. But this makes things so much easier. Not a promo for them, but I do love you, my Dark Lord. Don't delist my book again. Not that they do that, because they would never do that. Alrighty, I think I'm going to call it here. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you all did too. I think I'm going to start streaming also on Tuesdays, because I realized I don't really like shooting and editing video that much. There are some videos that I am going to do, but that will require me to shoot and edit and whatnot. But I like getting on here and doing this kind of stuff. So the pop-up stream that happened yesterday, that's probably going to happen more regularly and be less pop-up-y. I am going to be on Abigail Ford, author Abigail Ford's channel tomorrow with her sprints, which I want to say start at 12 Central Time. So it'd be 1 Eastern, and that would be 1 hour less, so 11 o'clock your time. On her channel, which I'm very excited about. She is a wonderful person as well. And then later that day at 5 o'clock my time, 4 o'clock her time, and 6 o'clock Eastern time, I will be doing a live stream with Jules, the dawdling writer. We will be talking about the Save the Cat genres and how to use them to figure out if you have a story and how to use them to focus your story so you don't get lost, because that's very important and a very useful thing. So that's then. Last thing I think
forward to that one.
Last thing I have to promote, if you haven't watched it yet, this morning my interview with the great Cache Warren was posted on this channel. We were supposed to talk about writing short stories. We did not. We ended up talking about everything under the sun, from diversity readers, why it's important to make sure that you're reaching out to the communities that you're writing about, to make sure you're writing about them well. We talked about faith and spirituality and all those good things. Cache is a national and international soon superstar and treasure. And I really enjoyed talking with her. And yeah, it's there if you want to watch it on my channel. As always,
I highly recommend it.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. I was one of the first people to comment on it.
Oh,
I said you guys were dropping lots of truth bombs on, or truth.
That's right.
Truth on there.
I woke up this morning and my phone had blown up. Like, I came in here and I picked up my phone and I had, I think, 28 messages, some from YouTube, some from Instagram, some on Twitter, of people saying stuff. And I was just like, I have a little bit of work to do before breakfast, so I'm going to. And this morning is such a blur because with all of that. And
I bet.
I should say also, while I'm doing this, I don't think you're on here, but I know you watch a lot of my replays. Lauren, thank you for subscribing to my Patreon today. That just made me smile so big. You have no idea. I love your work and the fact that I do anything that you feel like you should be contributing to. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. It means the world to me, and I will get back to you on the questions that you ask as soon as possible. Speaking of that, I do have a Patreon. I do have a coffee. I have a podcast that comes out every week. You can find links to everything that I do over at projectshadow.com. Definitely check that out. And if you're interested in reading any of my books, because one of you naughty people actually bought one, I am removing them all from Kindle Unlimited at the end of this month, and they are moving over to the website. I'm actually going to be putting them on the website for free for people to read, so that people that don't have access to Kindle Unlimited can read them, because that's a thing that I want to do. But if you have Kindle Unlimited and you want to read any of the books, just put them on your list. They will not go away when I pull them out. You have until you're done reading them to read them. So once they're on your device, they'll stay on your device. I think that's it. I have a lot of announcements. I'm doing a lot of stuff.
Yes, you are.
And this is the part where whoever I'm co-hosting with gets intimidated, and I say, do you have anything that you'd like to announce?
Let's see. Nope, I have a new AuthorTube channel, so if you guys want to go check out some of my videos, I'm just getting started. So yeah, that's about it.
Well, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed hanging out with you. I wish Grayson could be here, but we wish you a quick recovery and that everything goes well. And until next time, as we end all of my streams and videos, don't forget, y'all, Black Lives Matter. Black trans lives matter. Say her name. There are so many Black women who have been murdered by the cops. We cannot forget. It was not for a season. It is still going on. Look at what's going on in Portland. It is crazy out there. And above and beyond all that, don't forget to have the fun, because you can't protest unless you're having fun. I learned that from my friends from the 60s. I'm not that old, but they are. Until next time, bye.